Greetings, everyone. My name is Fe Burkley, or Fe. I want to thank Mary Michelle so much for bringing me into this beautiful platform to share. I want to thank World Unity Week for creating this for everyone to learn from each other. I think that it's so powerful that we all get to share our experiences and the knowledge that's been given to us, collective knowledge and wisdom. So today we're going to be talking about the mother wound. And I really want to hear everyone's experiences because I truly believe that everything that we experience, others can learn from. And today's intention is to recognize what we've learned from our ancestors and from our mothers in order for us to become empowered to have compassion for ourselves and compassion for the people before us. And then when we create life, we can be empowered in helping guide them. So for this, I really want us to be able to come from a place of compassion with this and knowledge and wisdom. So I open everyone to please share if they would like to. One of the first things that I want to talk about is in traditional Chinese medicine, there's an energy called the Jing. And the Jing is an essence, I guess we could call it, it's a consciousness that we get from both parents. And then it goes into the child. It makes up like a constitution of our immunity and how well our bodies will fight disease. It also is an essence of what we learned from them. So any of the things that are stored within their DNA is going to go from the mother, the father, and into the child. So science and energy medicine can point to that it's very true that we take on what our parents have given us. So from there, the child is born. And I truly believe that we pick our parents. You know, as a soul, we pick the families that we are going to be born into. And we choose it for our soul's development and for the lessons that our soul wants to learn through our lives. And then also for the evolution of the planet. What I see a lot is as we learn and as we ascend, our parents kind of have the opportunity to learn from us at the same time. So it's like a double medicine. Mm-hmm. So I just love the idea that we can look in deeper into ourselves and we can kind of identify what our parents behaviorally have taught us and the essence wise of what we picked up from them. So some of the things that we can learn consciously and subconsciously from our parents is how they communicate, how you can either suppress or share your emotions, how you view your body, how you view yourself. There's so many things that we learn from our parents. And I would love to hear from you all. What is any patterns that you may have seen from your parents that you start to see within yourself? Would anyone like to share?
Hello, Fe. Thank you for opening this question, the space. I had a very hard one, I think, something hard to share, which came to my mind immediately was that I'm physically violent sometimes, even in my thoughts at least. And as a child also, I was really violent, like punching people, because I experienced it also in my family. Yeah.
Mm.
Thank you for listening.
Yes, thank you for sharing that. I feel that some of those things, it can be hard to express because that has been such a difficult topic, you know, when it comes to hurting others. I feel that that may be something that we may not want to talk about. So thank you for sharing that. And I feel like a lot of the things that may be passed down from our parents, our family, or our mothers, not all of them are beautiful, you know, and that's part of our own growth. So is there anyone else that would like to share?
I'll share. And this is not the only pattern. There are infinite patterns seemingly that keep coming up, but the one that's coming to mind just now and that I've seen and worked with a lot is a deep shame about who one is. And coming from a culture, I was born in Sweden, and my parents were from poor families, and there was it's not a very religious, it wasn't a religious culture, but there was also hardly any culture at all. So there was the only thing that counted was working hard and winning or being right. So the only way that it was kind of valid to assert oneself was to prove somebody else wrong or to win, even if it was and it was just a cover up for a shame of not knowing who one is. So it's been very empowering to see that pattern and to recognize that whenever I go to even internally in my thoughts to a place of superiority, wanting to feel that I have something up or over somebody, to check in with myself, like where am I and what is true for me? Can I own that just for myself and also honor what is true and right with somebody else, and can we just be together as human beings? Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. I'm curious, when we begin to look at these shadows and acknowledge them within ourselves, how our parents may react. So I want to pose the question, once we started to look within these shadows, how was there any circumstance where your parents almost encouraged the shadows to continue and they weren't supportive of the changes? I feel as beings who are consciously wanting to look at these things, it can be almost difficult. It can be very difficult when we're wanting to ascend, but we're not being supported. And we almost have someone almost wanting to hold us back or feel bad for wanting to change or wanting to grow, because it can almost be like we are like negating our culture in a way and becoming almost like the black sheep within the family or within the culture. And I feel that that can be so uncomfortable of putting yourself out there. So I'm curious, has anyone gone through the circumstance where as they were learning and they were growing, there was a time where they weren't supported and they almost had to do it alone?
I'm happy to share again, unless there's somebody else that I don't want to steal the time. But if there's no one else, I'll share this thing. I get the picture of this bucket of crabs when one crab begins to crawl out of the collective, and one crab is kind of reaching for freedom to get back to the sea. The other crabs actually attack it and pull it back in. And it's like when I felt, when I began looking for different ways of being, there's wherever I had participated unconsciously in keeping the shame or pain or emotions under the surface, when I began to want to know who I am, not beyond the conditioning, then it brings up those emotions and those feelings. It brings them into the light for the family unit also. And then the willingness to feel that within myself, and also the letting others take responsibility for their own feelings that arise in that change of dynamics it can feel like you have to do it on your own. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It makes me think of the warrior heart is almost needed in those times, you know, that self-propulsion, because the warrior within you is set on ascension and set on learning and growing. And it's like you almost have to be that fuel within yourself, with spirit guiding you and fueling you to continue on, because we've been taught that the family unit and the culture around us really is the support. And so I feel like all of us right now is learning how to connect to a deeper source and allow that to be our family and our home. So your story is so powerful. I also think about the crabs in the bucket. It's like, well, I'm not going anywhere, so you're not going anywhere. We're all comfortable in this. So thank you for sharing that. I think that's such a powerful example of how we can all do it. With the mother wound specifically, I think it's so powerful because as feminines, we look towards her, our mothers, as this example of what a woman is. And sometimes I feel like in our childhood or as adults, some of the things that can be passed down from her are so huge. So I have a list of some of the things that can be issues with our identity. And I want to know if any of this resonates with you all, because it definitely resonates with me. So never feeling that they had their mother's approval or acceptance. Concerned about not being loved by their mother, or not being loved as much as their siblings or family members. Difficulties in relating to the mother on an emotional level. Uncertainty about the relationship with the mother, and if it could be lost with a mistake or an accident. Always trying to do better or to be perfect, to attempt to gain their mother's attention and acceptance. Feelings of having to protect, care for, or shelter your mother, rather than her protecting, caring for, and sheltering you. I'll share a little personally from me. I was adopted at birth, and my birth mother immediately put me into foster care because she was at the time doing the best that she could. And she was part of the crack epidemic in Oklahoma. And she also just wasn't in a place to take care of me. And it was a difficult decision for her. So I go into a family and I was accepted with unconditional love. It was a mixed race family. My adopted mother is white and my adopted father is Black. And from the first 0 to 7 years, which is really important in development, I would say that I had almost a picturesque childhood. So much love, so much family nourishment. And then after about 7, my adopted mother got into a car wreck. They went through bankruptcy. Just all of these life things happened to my adopted parents. And it resulted in my adopted mother getting addicted to pain medication. So from then on, she went through a series of depression. She was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. And our relationship drastically changed because she was going through changes. And so my role of being child changed to being the eldest sibling, therefore, kind of the caretaker in a way. So I can definitely say that the patterns from my adopted mother really started to show because I started to go into the role of almost the parent. And right now in my life as a 30-year-old woman, I can see that this has shifted the dynamics of how I relate to my parents and the boundaries that I've had to learn to place upon my life, because it's always a breaking of my own boundaries to take care of or to feel like I need to do for my parents because they're still kind of in that instability, even 20 years later. So I have had to learn how to look at my mother in a loving, compassionate way, both of my mothers, and know that they're going through their own journeys, but also to identify how it's affected me and how I can assess that in a healthy way so I can be the best version of myself. So I'm curious, any of those things that I mentioned, did any of them stick out to you in your own experience, or would you like to share any of your experiences with your mother?
I can share. I have also a heavy one. I experienced physical abuse in childhood. My father was really aggressive, and he could switch every moment and be abusive. And my mom never protected me. She just let it happen. And I was just on vacation with them some weeks ago, and it felt like a backflash into my childhood. We were all in a car, and my father got I don't know what happened, super stressed out, and he was reacting a bit crazy, and I was scared in the car with him stuck. And my mom, after that, we were all like, yeah, what can we do? And we were all scared, but she was acting like nothing is happening and we should be quiet. And I was just wondering how she can still be in that place of acting like nothing happened the next moment. And we should all be like, yeah, okay. And so also this thing that my father abused me, and my mom was not there taking care or being there and being on my side, is I think also the wound of being abandoned, feeling abandoned and left alone. And I don't feel any I know that she had a hard childhood, and the marriage was forced, not forced, but she was super young and she had her own stuff going on. Still, it's quite painful to see that it's still not processing, or maybe it's here to come up now. And I think it came up because I'm working also on old wounds. So I think this came up the last vacation because I'm actually looking at it and trying to modify something in the family system and heal something. So yeah, it was really interesting to see that, yeah, the last weeks, what happened. Whew.
Thank you for sharing that.
You.
It's definitely an ongoing journey. Even into adulthood, I find myself being triggered all the time by my family and by past circumstances that I'm coming again back to. Yes, thank you. So the mother wound is something that I feel that we all can relate to. Father wound as well. I guess the parental units as a whole. And the idea is to look within ourselves, to be able to acknowledge them and potentially see how they affect who we are now, regardless if it happened when we were children or if it's continuing to happen now. And another thing that I love about traditional Chinese medicine and the concept of Jing and essence is these things are passed down through our DNA. So I love that because it allows me to have a little bit of a deeper understanding of what my parents have gone through and why their behaviors might be what they are now. So in the example of my birth mother, who had the life of drugs, and I learned from her that her mother did. And she was born into this world of drugs. And she didn't get to go all the way through education. She stopped at the 7th grade. So then her skill sets were lowered. And in her words, she had a 7th grade education. She came from drugs, and that was almost the life that was given to her. And so it gave me just a deeper understanding and a compassion for her, even though I know that we continue to make decisions the older that we get. And if we choose to go beyond where we came from, then that's something that we can be empowered to do. But it allowed me to get her story and to see a little bit deeper. And for me to almost let her off the hook in a way, and for her to continue her own journey. And hopefully she will heal from it. But allowed me to see where I was going to continue the healing. And then if I do decide to have children, that will be a different story for them. So I want to ask you all, what do you think about if you don't want to have children? Are you still encouraged to do the internal healing to change your DNA, regardless if you're going to pass it down or not? What do you think about that?
I'll go. It's an interesting one to think about in that perspective. I think the internal work and the healing work that's taken place over the past 22 years or so for me is when I started out, it was just because I was in pain. Yeah. And it it didn't really, it started out as a selfish thing because I wanted to feel better. And then, of course, we realized when we start on the journey that, yeah, there is no easy fix to things. We really do have to actually look at things. And now it's interesting. I've just gone into, my period has been gone for 6 months now. So I don't know if it's coming back. And just with sitting on the threshold of maybe not passing it down, I feel there's there's a great care and love for like all human beings, that it's it's reason enough to do the inner work, to be honored, to be able to honor everyone that I meet. And should it so happen that a soul wants to come through my body and it happens, then yeah, the work will have been well served. Yeah,
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that.
yeah, thank you.
I think it's extremely important for us to realize the power of the personal work, regardless if we pass it down or not, because it's playing into the collective ascension. I see it almost like a ripple effect. Like we do our work and this like ripple of energy cascades out from our auric field, from our essence, from our lights, from just who we are. The people who come in contact with you and with us are able to almost start to see their own internal light. And just the resonance may lift them, even if they're just in the moment when they're with you. I think it's very powerful. And then also the life work that's being created when we can start to ascend, the own innate wisdom that comes from our own process. I feel it's very powerful because a lot of those people turn into teachers and guides themselves. So I love to look at every side of it. You know, being a mother or being a woman doesn't mean that we have to be mothers. And I feel that our culture can almost make it feel as if we don't rear children, then we're not stepping fully into what it means to be a woman. And I don't feel like that's true. You know, the energy of creation not only has to create human beings, it can create life works. It can create art that's inspiring. It can create visions and businesses and love. You know, it's just an essence of love. And so I think that's extremely powerful. I'm curious, is there anyone who has seen their grandmother go through something or live something, and then their mother, and then themselves, it being reflected within themselves, like that line of women of ancestry? And it could be a beautiful thing. It could be their love of art, or their beauty with words, with poetry, of dance, or it could be a shadow aspect.
I'd like to share. So in my family, I have my great grandmother who's from the Dominican Republic, I have my grandmother who's half Dominican, half Puerto Rican, and I have my mother who is who's Dominican, Puerto Rican, and African American. And all of the women in my line are artists. So my great grandmother, she's a writer, and well, she was a writer. She passed away last March at 102 years old. And my grandmother, Sandra Maria Esteves, yes, she made it to such an old age. I'm so grateful to my Lela. We called her Lela because when my mom was a little kid, she couldn't say abuela, so she had to say Lela. But so my abuela, she's a writer. She's a spoken word writer. My mom, she's a writer, and I'm a writer as well. So I see like the lineage of using words to paint pictures, using words to tell a story passed down through my line. And I actually wrote a poem about, it's called Mama Wound, Baba Wound, because I wrote a poem about like just experiencing my father, like Fee, when you were talking about your mom, I related because my father was addicted to crack cocaine and he left my family when we were 5 years old. So it's been a long journey of finding a healthy masculine within me because what I've seen reflected in my choice of partners is similar to what my father is, which has been unstable, not in my life, not able to take care of me. And then what was left of my mother after my father left was she was very depressed. I feel like she had undiagnosed clinical depression because she would I would witness my mom just lay in bed all day. And there was a time to where she got back on her feet. And I'm so proud of her for this because she worked through her things and she worked through a lot of her stuff. But we have the aspect of being spoken word artists passed down. And I've also noticed that we have the choices that we make in men have not been the healthiest in my family. Like I've definitely seen that reflected. And I've also seen like bodily harm as far as like molestation and rape has been passed through my line as well. And for me, being able to go out and dance has been such a powerful thing to be able to reclaim my body, my temple, and say, no, this is mine, and I'm gonna move this body how it wants to be moved. And like twerking is something that's really, it's easy because it's fast, it's fun. But last time we were talking about this in Sacred Twerks, we were talking about how sometimes it's harder to slow down, to do the sensual movements, because when you slow down, you hear more of those negative voices, the shadow voices that say, do I look stupid right now? And am I doing this right? And like, when you start to really listen to those voices, they start to go away. So it's very therapeutic to slowly and sensually dance and get in tune with your body. And I think that I've been modeling that from my mother, and she's been like, I'm just noticing her light up more and wanting to be more sensual. And I'm like, oh, she's like, you're such an inspiration to me. I wasn't like you when I was your age. You're like the better version of me. And I'm like, it feels so weird to hear my mom say that because we had a weird relationship when I was a kid, but we've grown so much as women to be able to talk to each other about anything. And another thing I wanted to share is that I'm not sure if I want to have children yet. I'm open to it, but I'm not sold on it exactly yet. But I do know I'm a mother, and I've been a caretaker from the time I was a child. I took care of younger brothers. I've raised my nieces and nephews, and I have nurturing energy. People come to me to be held. People come to me to feel accepted, to feel that unconditional mother's love. And like lately I've been getting more in tune with my inner child and like doing things that I liked to do when I was a kid, like climb trees. I got a pair of skates. I got a bike I've been riding. So yesterday I was riding my bike and I got off, and this mother with her twin children, her stroller was like, she just came up to me like a beam of light. She was like, girl, oh my God, you look so amazing on that bike. It looks so fun. I want to do that with my kids. And it just made me so happy because she felt so comfortable to come up to me and just be like, I want to teach my kids how to do what you're doing. And I was like, you got this, mama, go ahead, you got it. And she was just so exuberant and joyful and in that moment. And I was like, this is what ascension is. It's not just all spirituality and reading books. It's being in action, doing something that I enjoy, and having a mother of 2 twin daughters come up to me and express like, I want to do that with my children. So that's all I had to share. Thank y'all for listening. I love this. I love you, Fe. Like, I love you.
I love you too. It's so good to see your face. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. Wow. And I can definitely say that it's so powerful to see that your talent, of words and embodiment has come from your lineage of women. I think that is amazing to see, because then it kind of like empowers you to fully step in because you can see it in the women above you. So thank you, thank you, thank you. You touched on such big points. Following what the women have given us in terms of gifts, I feel like that's so powerful to do when it is such a beautiful thing, because it's almost like a gift that was just like placed in your hands, and it's just like it's innate in you. So it's something that is already waiting to be stirred about. In my lineage and my adopted mother's lineage, which I feel is so powerful because it just shows you that spirit really assigns, and it's not just blood. They are very psychic women. They are oracles, they are seers, they are feelers. And my grandmother, she was very, very attuned to everything around her. She could see people's auras. She knew her guide that was always with her, which was Archangel Gabriel. And then, right. And then she passed it down to my mother, my adopted mother, who is Life Path 22. If anyone is aware of Life Path numbers, it's a master number that signifies a very powerful life journey of tapping into who you truly are. But she is a very big heart. She is just one of the biggest hearts, the most unconditionally loving person. She attracts so much like innocent love from children, from animals, from nature. She is a spiritual warrior on the astral level. She is a warrior. And I can see passed down from her, I feel that I've got the connection, I would say, just that the connection of there's something outside of what we're seeing. And my adopted grandmother, people say that you are so much like her. Like, it's so funny how you are so much like her, but we're not blood related. So I just feel like it's so powerful for us to acknowledge the women who've come before us, and not only acknowledge the things that we had to learn and grow from, but the beauty that was passed down, the gifts, the traits, the energy that was passed down from them. And I just think that was a beautiful story, Jelani. So thank you for sharing that. And I'm so curious if anyone else has any stories of a positive thing that the women before them have passed down to them.
I'll share. I loved your sharing so much, my sister Jelani. Thank you. Bless. I was feeling you. I was feeling my women too. And you also, Faye. Wow. I got Faye real quick, it's very deep. I just got this picture and I saw the energy of your mother. Okay. The one you were just speaking of, who's so psychic. And I mean, look at what she co-created. I mean, you're sitting here, you're the example of that divine love. You're the example of that deep trust she has in life and love. And I saw her bring your spirit in and bathe you in this light and the light of her lineage. And there's like a destiny point for soul vibration that she brought you in, having already known each other, having already been of accordance, having already been of agreement for that. And this is, wow, this is so cosmic. We are that intelligent. We have this depth of intelligence and this broadness of intelligence that goes so beyond what we could think, or even try to know. And I just bow to that. I'm so grateful to perceive that and to have just learned from this connection, to have just been schooled, to have been trained, to have been taught from observing your connection with your adoptive mother. So thank you so much for allowing us into your world, my darling. Ooh, gives me hope in humanity, darlings. I need a little bit of that medicine every day, okay?
Yes. Yes.
I just want to give a shout out to my mother and my grandmother, like my English mother and my English grandmother. My English grandmother was a poet. She wrote poetry in between her giving birth to 7 children and being a woman in war, during war, having her first children running to underground shelters, right? And she's a soft, very strong and very gentle soul, right? And she gave that love of words onto all of her children. And my mother has that love of words too, even though somehow undemonstrated, right? But yet with her intelligence, her love of books, my mother's like the bookworm of the century. Just imagine her and there's a load of books like that all around her, and then it's like a bunker in itself, and she comes up and goes, hello, Leah, I'm going back into my book temple. And that passed on to me a play of words and an interesting relationship with books that have given me the fortitude, because you need fortitude to write a book, I think, and understanding to have written my first book and to be in the process of getting my first book published, which was a real, thank you, sister, a real process of self-empowerment. Because there were these voices that, since no one in my line had become professionalized with their love of words or their talent of words, that the hurdles I needed to step over were also challenging. It was like, in a way, sometimes I had them here, and even though they were pushing me forth, I was also doing some carrying. Do you know what I mean? So it was a bit like stumble, trip, walk forward, stumble, trip, walk forward, like this rhythm. Like so I'm really close, and I feel the blessing, and I feel like as I step over that, I'm like centimeters now, that there will be something of a cosmic release. Perhaps, or maybe not. Let's see. Thank you for hearing my tale. Love you. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that, Mira. That's beautiful. I would love to meet your mother one day. I can only imagine the beauty that this woman has to create you. I think it's powerful, especially as you were mentioning the stumble walk. It's true. It's like we have to go through the lessons and the shadow aspects of even carrying gifts, because you could have looked at it in a way, well, they've never professionalized it. Why would I? It's not possible. I think it's very powerful to see that and to acknowledge that yes, I am, and yes, I can. And I feel that that's almost like a healing of the women before you. And moving forward. So I am so curious to ask if anyone would like to share as we slowly start to come to an end of our meeting together. If you had to leave a legacy, maybe a one word or an emotion or a feeling legacy, what would it be?
Fe, can you please give another word for legacy? I don't know this word in English.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Legacy, something that people know you for, or they attribute to you.
Mm. Mm.
So for me, I feel that the legacy that my grandmother has created, my adopted grandmother, was that of love, embodied love. And it passed on to my adopted mother. And I would love to carry that on. And it was the type of love that was forgiving. It was unconditional. Those that may have been rejected from others and kind of cast out knew that they had a safe place with them. And I would love to continue that on. And it's not always easy because there's so many things that can keep us from tapping into our full loveness and embodiment. So to me, it's an ongoing journey of first learning how to love myself and all my flaws and all of the things that I've learned to embrace and acknowledge within myself first, and then learning how to give that to others. I would love to leave that legacy of that.
That's so heart touching. My heart is so deeply touched by that. And I think that's the most beautiful, most important. When I heard that question, it just felt like a loving mother, a loving, strong mama, loves her children. If that went all the way down my line, my ancestor line into the future, that would be this perfect enough. And that I recently lost my brother. He left us, and he just came into my mind so deeply when you said that, and I saw his legacy. I saw the legacy that he has left, It was just so much love. So many people, hundreds of people came because he left so much love and humor and heart. And he touched so many lives. And talking about men and their mother wounds, that's also a deep subject, And so, yes, I'm with you. I'm with my brother. I'm with the legacy of love. Now that is something truly great and truly amazing to behold. Blessing.
Thank you for sharing that with us, sister. I thank you for that. I feel like the legacy of love and how you make others feel is so powerful. It allows people to see and love themselves that way, I feel. It's like that's the ultimate gift. And my kittens are playing so hard right now. I'm sure you all can hear them rummaging. So I am just very grateful for all of the shares and for all of the depth that everyone has shared with. And it makes me, I don't know, just thankful to be alive and to be going through this journey and knowing that there is so much light within our journeys of taking the stumbling steps and doing the things that aren't always easy. But the legacies that we leave are going to be a powerful one because we chose to do this. And we've chose to heal our lineages, and even the people that are here with us today, they're able to see it and heal from it as well. And we are all warriors for being on this journey. So I am grateful for all of you and for showing up for yourself and for others. And we truly are healing the planet. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you for allowing me to share. Thank you for sharing all of your hearts with me today, and just blessings. Thank you.
Peace. If it's okay, can I share the poem I wrote called Trigger Warning, Mama Wound, Baba Wound?
Please. I would love that.
Trigger warning, Mama Wound. I am boy, child, baby boy, man, child. You're just like your fucking father. Ain't shit ass motherfucker, bitch ass nigga. I'ma give you something to cry about. Words a son received from his mother. His kind, nurturing, loving mother moon. Lost in the depth of her wounds, her hand slammed into his face, telling him it's for his own good, to keep him out of trouble and in his place. He thinks it's because every time she looks into his deep brown eyes, she is reminded of the man who sold her lies. The man who left her to run across the country to a new bitch. The man who abandoned her to raise 3 kids all on her own, while the very same man clung to the rock and the illusions it sold, while his mother was barely full grown. His mama loved him. His Umi loves him, this he knows. My Umi says, shine my light on the world. Shine my light for the world to see. My Umi says, shine my light on the world. Shine my light for the world to see. So he knows that she loves him, that she tried, she did the very best with what she had, but maybe deep inside, she was just a girl with parents that fucked up too, though that's hard to grasp. And he's just a boy trying to grow beyond the confines of his mind, of a broken home, a violent childhood, an absent father, and neglectful mother. Still, every time I see a bitch, I mean woman, I can't help but project the image of my mother onto her. And how she used to smack me, love me, cuss me, hug me. I try to tie this whole, woman into the mother I wish I had, projecting my petty insecurities, picking at her like a scab. I call my woman out her name because I feel so bad. Heaps of inequities and injustices sit upon my head and try to keep me buried 6 feet under rubble. My own knives and fears entrench me in trouble. Still, I am a boy who dreams of life in the light, waiting patiently for my time to shine, using this passionate heart of mine to reemerge into the light after being lost in time. No place to express my rage, my sorrow, my pain. They said no child left behind, yet here I am in the rain. I feel misplaced, erased and degraded, like my neck is stepped upon, like I got something to prove, nothing to lose, and desperate and ready to pawn my most valuable shit to pay my rent. I'm trying to open up the cage I found my heart encased in. I told myself my emotions are natural and it's okay to cry. I don't know if I believe that yet because it feels like a lie. I'm trying to find somewhere safe to reveal them, to feel them, because they say that's the only way to heal them. Letting go of the hatred I felt towards my mama and forgiving myself for perpetuating drama. Acknowledging that I have the internal strength to overcome any trauma. I came home and asked myself, what do I really want from this blessed life? I am a God responsible for all of my choices and wholly divine. As I heal the mama wound, how can I use my love to rise?
Ooh, sister. Blessings. Wow, you talent.
Yes,
Thank you so much.
Thank
you so much for blessing us. Thank you for getting that in. That encapsulated our whole wonderful hour. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that strength, the raw humanness of us all, and how everything happens in divine timing, and how when we humble ourselves, we truly see who we are and drop the identifications of self-importance and just arrive in the moment. Blessings. Bless you, sister. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I had chills throughout the whole thing. You are truly anointed and gifted. Thank you.
Yes.